Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sunny Side. I'm Sunny, and this video right here, it's all about everyone who has their natal, or in their birth chart, right, your natal chart, your north node in Taurus, north node looks like an N, and your south node in Scorpio looks like a U. So once again, this is for everyone who has their north node in Taurus and the south node in Scorpio. This one should be fun, okay? Because I'm not going to say too much. Normally I go blah blah. I'm not going to say too much about it because these guys go really hard on Scorpio in this one. So, anyways, we'll see what they have to say. Anyways, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Once again, welcome back to the Sunny Side. Once again, I'm Sunny. Please share the video. It's the only way we can honestly grow the channel, and I appreciate all of the support. In addition to that, for those who don't know, I'm a professional astrologer. I do write the horoscopes for some of the newspapers up here in Canada, and if you want a personal reading, just check out how to do that in the description box below. All right, what else is going on? All of these education, so there are a lot of astrology education videos on the channel and a lot of astrology information on the channel, and if you want to check out all of that stuff to know more about your Venus sign or your Mars sign or Moon sign or whatever, just check it out on the channel. And there are playlists for everything, right? And definitely give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Remember, it's always a beautiful day to be beautiful. It's together, it's a beautiful day. Now, these are long videos, so settle in and just chill out. So this one here, for those who don't know, I have a bunch of astrology writings, and I like to read to you guys what different astrologers and astrology writers say about the different astrological placements, and I'll give you my 2 cents on it, because sometimes when you're writing these things all the time, like me, if you're writing horoscopes every day or you're looking at different astrological charts, sometimes we blur the houses and the sign and this and that. There's some interesting things, and I'm going to add some clarity. Hopefully I can add some clarity to some of the confusion out there, and maybe dispel some of the myths about some of the things that are happening. All right. Next, for those who don't know, once again, please share the video. If you'd like a personal reading, check it out in the description box below. We have lots of live streams on the channel, so tune into that. We have workshops here. If you want to attend one of the workshops, it's all in the description box below, or it's on the website, TheSunnySide.net. And of course, there are some report specials. We have Astro-Report Specials all the time. Let's just show you. This is the website right here, or what it looks like right now anyways. And that's TheSunnySide.net, and this is where you go to get your astrology reports, or my book that I wrote, Emotional Weight Loss, or one of the books here. If you want to know more about me, tons of testimonials, blah blah. And this is our store, the astroside.com. We're fortunate enough to have a store here. My wife, the beautiful and super amazing SLC, she designed everything for you guys. She designed these really cool SunnySide hoodies, some t-shirts for the kids, some leggings for people who wear leggings, socks, tons of mugs, tons of meme hoodies and t-shirts, some really cute one. This is a Libra one. It's not my fault, I'm pretty. Some Capricorn one, time is money. Pisces, I'm psychic. She did a lot of stuff here. And anyways, it's a lot of fun. If you want to support the channel, that's one of the best ways to do it. Or you can just donate to the channel using PayPal. All right, everybody cool? So that's the action with that. Let's get down to the video. So what's a node? So what's the node in astrology? So let's see, we'll get one of these guys. So imagine that this guy here, this is the Earth, and I'm the Sun. Hey, Sunny, what's up, player? Okay, I said I'm the Sun. And the Earth is revolving around the Sun. And as the Earth revolves around the Sun, it has an orbit. Okay, it's called an orbit. And that's the line of the orbit right there. It's orbiting around the Sun. And when the moon's orbit, the moon orbits around the Earth. And wherever the moon's orbit around the Earth intersects the Earth's orbit around the Sun, those are the nodes. Those are the moon's nodes. So not up here, not down there, not like, it's around the Earth. Where the moon's orbit intersects when the moon's orbit around the Earth intersects the Earth's orbit around the Sun, those are the nodes in astrology. It's the moon's nodes. It's not really a big deal. All right, everybody cool? Let's go check and see what it looks like on an astrological chart. So this is a chart, and over here, this is the south node in Scorpio. See, Scorpio? It looks like the letter U. And this is the north node. It's in Taurus. And it looks like the north node looks like a letter N, sort of. And imagine it like this. This is the Earth. Okay, this is the Earth. And the north node, right, then it's like this. These are the nodes right there. And the south node is like that. It represents the moon's orbit, where it intersects, the place where it intersects with the Earth's orbit, like that. And that's how we get the nodes. See? Not a big deal. not necessarily a big deal. It could be a big deal, but it's not necessarily a big deal. All right, so what does it mean in astrology? A lot of people say that the south node, a lot of people say that the south node, that right there, that represents the lessons or the karma that you bring with you from a past life. And if you don't believe in past lives, then just think of it as all the stuff that happens to you when you're young. And it shapes all the stuff that's happened to you when you were younger, and it shapes who you are as a person. I'm not going to explain all the different ways that your past can, shape your future, but that's what it says. And it's really not that weird. You're like born at a certain time of year, so it's like cold outside. Anyways, whatever. And so this is your past life, or your past life experience, and all the stuff that happened in the past. And this is the direction you're supposed to move in life to have a spiritual awakening, so that you can ascend beyond your current spiritual position in life, so to speak. Or it's what it's used to resolve your karma. But there's more to it than that. And if you don't believe in that, then it doesn't mean anything to you. But here's stuff that is important. The south node, it's too much. Imagine that it's a cup. That's not a good cup, Sonny. Imagine that it's a cup, and imagine that the south node is a cup with too much stuff in it. It's too much energy. So this guy with the south node in Scorpio has too much Scorpio energy. A little bit of Scorpio energy, or a healthy amount of Scorpio energy, is really good. They're an open, they take care of others, they manage other people's money, and they're defensive, they take care of you, they like to share, they're highly supportive, and they're team, they can be team players. On the negative side, if there's too much of that, they become ridiculously stubborn, they become possessive, they become mean, they become vindictive, highly vindictive, highly mean, major assholes of the zodiac. This is not an easy placement for a lot of people. And it's balanced out. These guys can give everything away. They don't want to share. They don't want to help. It's just a horrible situation. And they give everything away. Scorpio likes to do, it's a very we sign. For those who don't know, this part of the zodiac, right, is we. And Scorpio rules this section right here. And this is the section of other people's possessions. So Scorpio, so it's inheritances, it's things that happen behind the scenes, obviously, and it's Scorpio helping you with your possessions. It's the part of the chart where people will give you money for someone else. It's like child support. Someone is giving you money to take care of your kid. It's winning and losing legal battles. If you have a problem in this section of your chart, that section is the karma of this part of your chart. It's the result of what happens there. Now, the juxtaposition is way on the other side. This is your stuff. This is me, my money, my stuff. Taurus is all a very possessive sign. Me. And Scorpio is a very we. You want to take care of other people's stuff. You can imagine it like, this is having sex with other people. This is having sex by yourself. This is making love to other people's money. This is making love to your own money. Starting to make sense? I hope it makes sense. And so the problem is, if you have too much Scorpio energy in your chart, okay, there's more to it. Some people say South Node is bad. Actually, most people say that South Node is bad, and it represents your karma, and for most people, they represent karma with bad things happening to you that's not your fault, or an irresponsible way of looking at the unexpected things that happen to you, or random things that happen to you. So South Node bad. North node is not necessarily bad, but it's not necessarily good either. If the south node is bringing your world down, it's going to have an effect on this part of your chart as well. So imagine that this is over here in relationships. If you're fucking up your relationships, it's going to fuck you up too. It's not a teeter-totter. It's not like a balance kind of thing, one or the other. It'll bring both sides down. That's the problem with the nodes. If it's good, it'll raise both sides. And that's the deal. You know, they work in tandem here. It's not either or. But at the same time, although it's not either or, you have a finite amount of energy that runs between the two. And you balance this out. I know, you know, you raise the south node by raising your north node. And that's how it works. Only by moving towards the north node can you balance out this particular area of your chart, which intrinsically or basically, it's a problematic part of your chart. And so that's the deal. That's how you deal with it. There are other ways. Like, I mean, this is what we would call a yod formation, but yods are like the lessons that you have to learn. So like Scorpio has lessons to learn from Aries, you know. Scorpio has to learn to be more assertive from Aries. Scorpio has to learn to be more of a, to ask more questions. Like Gemini, Scorpio thinks they know. Scorpio tends to think they know everything, and they tend to be really slow. And so, because they're a fixed sign, and so, and they're slow. They want to sit there and observe everything. And so, those are the lessons that you have to learn. But it's not how you balance everything out. If like you can do your Scorpio, if you think you're gonna achieve harmony with your south node by being more assertive, that's not how it works. Or if you're going to ask more questions, that's not how it works. The problems in Scorpio are resolved in a Taurus kind of way. That means instead of breaking everything down, right, the south node in Scorpio wants to break everything down and destroy everything. Taurus is saying, hey, what the fuck is wrong with you? Leave that shit alone. It ain't broken. Leave that shit alone. Go, here's some lube. Go jerk off. Like what the fuck, Scorpio? And so that's what's going on. Or Scorpio's saying, fuck it, I'm going to give everything away. And Scorpio, south node in Scorpio, fuck it, I'm going to give everything away. And Taurus is like, what the hell is wrong with you? Fucking hold on and stop giving our shit away. And so that's the deal. So if you think of it about it if you went in an Aries kind of situation over here, adding more Aries to the fire it's just going to say, I'm going to give all my shit away fucking faster, or to a Gemini kind of way, hey man, where can I give all my shit away? No. Taurus is saying, hold on. Scorpio wants to let go. Scorpio wants to break shit down. And Taurus is saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? Shit, I worked really hard on that. Can't we hold on to it for a little? Can't we give it time to grow? Grow up, Scorpio. What the fuck is wrong with you? Anyways, that's the deal. So that's my 2 cents, anyways, on the south node in Scorpio, right? South node, anyways, the gist of this is, the easiest way to remember this, south node bad, north node can be, if you use it, it can be good. So if you learn the lessons, if you work the south node properly, and you use the south node in a healthy way, and you raise its vibration, so to speak, then the north node is going to be really good. If you are bad in your south node, it's going to really hurt your north node. And anyways, as you'll see in this particular chart, this person has both of these energies running through them at the same time. So although these guys are going to say a lot of negative things about Scorpio and a lot of positive things about Taurus, keep in mind this person has both at the same time. And that's the conundrum, so to speak, in this situation. Anyways, that's what you gotta work through, and that's the action. Remember to share the videos, everybody. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Oh no, wait, cancel that. Let's clear this out. All right, that's the action on that. Let's go see what these guys have to say about all of that. All right, George Mercury, not George Mercury. George Mercury, motherfucker. I'd like to welcome to this. Okay, George Mercury. A lot of Vedic astrologers here. George Mercury says the dragon's head in Taurus. Now, the dragon's head is actually the north node. There's a story about the dragon in astrology, and I said it in one of the one or two signs. I don't say it in all this because this is a real story. But to make it really simple, okay, really simple about the story, there was a good team of people or spiritual beings or whatever you want to call it, and a negative side and an evil side. And evil was winning the fight, and evil had achieved immortality, and good was losing. So good went up to the sun god or the sun or whatever and said, whatever you want to call it, and said, hey, what the fuck? We're losing this. We're losing. And sun said, and the earth, this ethereal earth kind of stuff was stuck. Evil fucked it up. So they said, okay, you can, there's a way that you can jumpstart the earth and get the cycle spinning again. And they're like, okay. So they go to jumpstart it. I'm telling you the story really fucking simple, okay? and so then the good guys go to jumpstart the earth, jumpstart this cycle again, but they can't do it. It's too difficult. So, or there's too much for them to do. And so they need evil's help. So evil helps them, and they're able to jumpstart this energy again, and then it starts flowing and it's cycling, and as a result of all this, it creates this ether, so to speak. And so the good, this one representative, this person goes and gets this elixir, this ether, and brings it and separates everyone into two lines, and it's immortality. It's ether of immortality, and so they makes two lines, and this person, they're giving it to the good guys but not to the evil guys, right? And then evil is like, hey, what the fuck, man? And so one of the evil guys goes into the line of the good guys, and he drinks or he savors from this elixir and gains immortality. And so the good tried to trick the evil here, but one of the evil guys caught on, and they caught him, right? They caught the evil guy, and they're like, fuck you, motherfucker, and they cut him in half, right? Like, fuck you, bitch. And so then they and you can use it anyway. You could say Michael's sword of fire, Archangel Michael's sword of fire, or you can say whatever that you want to say, like different stories, right? These are just stories. And so what they did was they cut him in half, and they attached like he's a serpent, right? He's a serpent man, and they fused them together, and they put him in the sky, and they put his head on a serpent's body, and they put the serpent's head on his body, and that's how we get the dragon in astrology. The nodes in astrology are referred to as the dragon, and that's how you get the dragon's head, which is the north node, and that's how you get the dragon's tail, which is the south node, and that's where it comes from. And that's why it's fucked up in astrology, and that's why it's karma. It's where, it's negative energy that has bad things happen to you, but it can also have good things happen to you. So, all right, so that's the story. Tell all your friends. George Mercury says, the dragon's head, north node in Taurus, north node good, south node bad. The dragon's head in Taurus brings great pleasure in regard to the affections. The native loves more with his heart and mind than his senses, and this may cause him to worry needlessly, as this position denotes a certain amount of jealousy, which, though not exhibited outwardly, nevertheless causes suffering. All right, Taurus is a possessive sign. Taurus isn't really a jealous sign. I'm not sure what this guy is, but they definitely can be greedy. But Scorpio can be jealous. It's also a sign of, okay, so he's describing it. Remember, it's both at the same time. He's talking about the north node, but he's kind of describing a negative part of Scorpio. Negative Scorpio is jealousy. So although he's talking about the north node, remember, this person has both of them at the same time. So say it again. Negative of this sign is jealousy. It's also a sign of hesitation in most matters, obviously, which is a mistake on the part of the native, inasmuch as this position should encourage him to act and to look forward confidently to the future, and above all, not to engage in wrong thinking, to which his natural disposition inclines him. Things on the whole cannot go otherwise, than well. But the native must be prepared to help himself and to abandon pessimism. In the third decan of Taurus, it signifies the end of Taurus, third decan of Taurus. Astrology signs are split into three parts called decans, the beginning, middle, and end. Third one is the end. So as you're leaving Taurus. Okay. In the third decan of Taurus, it signifies a journey connected with business, or else a plan which will turn out fortunately. Oh, that's good. The dragon's tail in Scorpio, or the south node in Taurus, in Scorpio. South node in Scorpio is very evil. I didn't say it. He really did say that. I don't think it's, I'm a double Scorpio. I don't think anything like that's evil. But this guy says it's evil. It often denotes lack of moral and physical courage, which induces the native to seek more or less questionable methods of succeeding. Apart from steady exertion, Taurus is steady exertion. Scorpio rules what's behind the scenes. Behind the veil is Scorpio. They're known as the detectives of the zodiac. But they will only be trifling methods. Oh, and the result will not fulfill his desires. This position is also harmful for the health. There are strong evident signs of lymphatism, which is, I guess, problems with your lymph nodes. Danger of... Next. Just watch your health. Isabel Hickey says, the North Node in Taurus gives resourcefulness and in the ability to be very practical in the approach to the material world. They sound kind of Virgo-y, right? But like, it's all right. Because Taurus is the sign of luxury. So North Node in Taurus, South Node in Taurus can make someone excessively Spartan, excessively get rid of everything. South Node in Scorpio can seriously go live and hermit themselves away in a cave. North Node in Taurus is a luxurious sign. So the North Node says, if there's too much South Node, this person will give everything away and just live like a pauper. And if there's too much North Node, if your South Node is in Taurus, there's a tendency to be South Node in Taurus, the tendency to be too Taurusy, too greedy, living too opulent, to get fat, to get lazy. But this situation, when you balance itself out, South Node in Scorpio is giving everything away, and they're going to go live in poverty. And the North Node in Taurus says, hey man, don't be like that, let's go enjoy the life a little bit. Don't be such like a stick in the ass, let's go eat some I want some chocolate chips in my muffin, it's a different thing. Anyways, this person, the North Node in Taurus, attracts possessions. It sure does. And those who want to be possessed. Right, it's a sign of possession. Must help others to be independent by refusing them the luxury of being dependent. Whatever. Crutches, if used too long, even psychological crutches, can keep the individual from developing strength. The South Node in Scorpio applies that the downward path has been trodden in the past. And this must be redeemed through overcoming resentment and not resentment, right? Scorpio is a vindictive sign. And not using force to compel. Lust and greed must become love, and the giving spirit must overcome the grabbing tendencies. All right, not so bad. Martin Schumann says, and he goes on and on and on. So let's settle in, grab some coffee, chill out. Let's go see what Martin said. Here, the soul is confronted with some of the most difficult karmic lessons in the zodiac. Past lives have been strewn with endings as the Plutonian force of Scorpio worked through its process of transformation. Now, the individual is so frightened by the memory of having the rug completely pulled out from under his feet that he develops a defensive attitude towards all who offer him regenerative advice. In past incarnations, he literally went through the fires of hell to burn away his false values. Now, instead of flailing back at the remains of Scorpio still within him, he must build, through Taurus, a new set of substantial values by which to live. Nearly all with these nodes have at one time touched the force of witchcraft, so in the current life, there is to be a rude awakening about any remaining residue of the lower self. That's a lot of new agey bullshit, right? You keep that in mind. These guys talk like frou-frou bullshit and they try and pretend like it's real shit. Just keep that in mind. That fucking bugs me, man. People like, do you know that, like, do you guys know that Aries is not a real fucking person? Do you guys know that? Like, seriously, because you sure fuck don't talk like it. Okay, next. Alright, next. Alright. Lower self and higher self. What do you mean, like my feet? Okay. In past incarnations, this individual also had to deal with a powerful sex drive which kept throwing him off balance. As a result, he's used to seeking gratification through all sorts of relationships which ultimately become destructive to the personal ego. Then, confused and embittered by all he sees toppling around him, he's almost glad to aid in the destruction of whatever little remains. Most of the conditions in this life are still controlled from his subconscious level, buried deeply below the scrutinizing eyes of society. He may appear jovial and friendly, while he's in fact planning some mysterious adventure of intrigue inside. Right, obviously he's describing Scorpio, which is what you see is not what you get. Scorpio looks somewhat placid, often appears placid and cold on the outside, but they're on the inside they're planning. This chart must be studied carefully to see just how far the soul has come out of Scorpio before an accurate interpretation can be given. For those already closer to Taurus, the violent churning of Scorpio is purposely avoided at all costs. For those just barely out of Scorpio, the internal revolutions are still going on. Planets conjunct either node, okay, this is important, planets conjunct either nodes will pull the individual towards that node and literally force them to live through it in the current life. So, if you know, okay, so that's it. So, you remember how I said, you know, that's, so, these nodes are just a thing, you know, and you can do whatever you want to do in life. You have the choice. This isn't like, you know, so it's not, you're not forced to do either way. But these guys are saying, whenever these nodes are activated, whenever anything is activated in your chart, it's going to light up. It's like, oh, my arm is itchy. You get a mosquito bite? Ah, I scratch the thing. Same astrologically. And if the south node is aspected by transit or by natal alignment, or by like someone comes along and kicks you in the south node or something like that happens, then that's going to become active and you're going to move towards Scorpio. And when you move toward, whenever this person, and so that's where this person moves, they move towards Scorpio, and as opposed to, and they need to balance that out or to resolve that by moving towards Taurus. So if someone comes along and kicks you in the south node, you're going to be very, fuck you, I'm going to take everybody down. And the Taurus part of you says, hey man, don't do that. You know, hold on to things. Don't hurt yourself just because someone else is being a donkey to you. All right, so keep that in mind. Each day seems to be filled with new emergencies until one crisis built upon another creates such a turmoil of conflict that the individual is reduced to his very most basic struggle for survival. He doesn't yet know the art of moderation or how to take things at face value, for he still believes that others always have an ulterior motive. Very Scorpio. Too much Scorpio, right? South node, too much Scorpio. Inside, he feels he must constantly escape from punishment, and in his escapes he leaves behind him a tornado-like shambles of all he once held dear. At times, he sees others turning on him, but rarely does he stop long enough to understand that he is the cause. Whether he's still acting out of a past life incarnation in Scorpio or advancing through Taurus, his fixed stubbornness is very much a part of his ingrained way of doing things. He will make much growth when he's able to see the actions of others as reflections of his own subconscious. From past incarnations, he's become accustomed to attuning himself to a particular brand of intensity, which, when not allowed to express itself, turns to anger. He's been deeply scarred with the pain of being hurt, and now, like a wounded animal, can be deadly to any who represent the slightest threat. On the lower levels of consciousness, individuals with these nodes can pursue their prey with a personal vendetta. Then, when the pieces fall, they appear to be innocent victims, while they are in fact the carefully planned victors. Due to the intense emotion constantly seeking expression, a variety of creative outlets are needed. Sexual desire must be transmuted into divine love. Or not. Or not. All embittering conditions from past incarnations must be dropped from the consciousness until the new seed of peace is discovered. Again, this is, the South Node, Scorpio's South Node must, must burn the bridges of the past and resolve to benefit from the lessons of Lot's wife, which is never to look back. Through the Taurus North Node, he must learn not to dissipate or waste in valuelessness or valueless areas all the power that flows through him. His greatest achievements in this life occur when, through the development of a great love of the earth, he lives on. What? All right. He starts to appreciate glimpses of the source of his unfailing supply and support. Right. He starts to realize that there's more around him than he thinks. That if he holds on to things, he's not going to get taken away. Scorpio lets go, Taurus holds on. And the lessons of the nodes in here is to hold on as opposed to letting go. For lifetimes, he's misused his energy, his drives and desires, feeling himself alone against the oppressions and afflictions that affect mankind. Now, through the sensitive impressions of his Taurus North Node, he's to be brought to the awareness that the abundance in the universe is so great that he would always have what he needs, when he needs it. He must learn to distinguish the difference between the words want and need, for although he may not always be able to realize what he wants, he is at every moment surrounded by all he needs. As he reaches for his Taurus North Node, he's reaching at last for stability. He can stop chasing all he has ever felt cheated of by seeing all that is now offered to him. Ultimately, he's destined in this life to reach a state of contentment as the seething volcanoes of Scorpio melt into the blue spirit waters of harmony in Taurus. Where the beloved Wandama, where Buddha left his blessings. Truly, this is the transition from lifetimes of war into a garden of peace. The house position of the South Node, obviously, this is the house position of the South Node, indicates the area of life where any residue of the scorpionic battles must be conquered, while the house position of the North Node shows the area of life where the new awareness of trust and security can ultimately be replaced in the struggles and all that stuff. But I'll just say it again. South Node, bad. North Node has to help balance out the South Node. So if you have the South Node in your astro sector of home and your North Node in your astro sector of work, you're going to have problems at home. And in a Scorpio kind of way, it means you're always going to be tearing down things at home. You're going to be fighting your parents. You're going to be fighting with everybody at home. You're never going to have a place to live. It's going to really suck. As opposed to the outward stuff, or you might always be retreating to your home where there's problems and fighting with home, where Taurus is saying, chill out, get out into the 10th house, go out in the world, go for a walk, home is going to be okay. It's in the 7th house, you're constantly going to be fighting, you're going to constantly get divorced. If the North Node is in Scorpio in the 7th house, you're not going to trust your partner, you're going to get divorced, you're probably going to cheat in relationships, and you're going to be very dependent upon other people, and as such, you're going to be too dependent on other people at the detriment of yourself, and it's going to cause problems. You're going to get divorced, or you're going to cause your partner to cheat on you because your Scorpio energy is going to yell and scream at the person and be vindictive of your partner at the expense of the North Node, which is saying, be a little more confident in yourself. In other parts of your chart, it can happen in your money, it can happen in your career, it can happen in your health. Anyways, wherever it falls in your chart is where it falls in your chart. Mohan Kaparka says, previous incarnation for this person was spent in many hidden or underground activities. Scorpio, being a rebel against the normal life structure, punished him to go through various stages before his present condition occurred. Distorted sexual abuse or misuse of power was noticed in the previous lifestyle. All this might or might not have been his own problem, but the company he kept in those years. In this lifetime, he just wants to take things at a very easily and enjoy life without creating many complications. His struggle to at least maintain his karmic status and not go down anymore is amazing to watch. He'll try all his best to live nicely and comfortably, and anybody that would oppose his ideals will be dealt with quite vigorously and probably underhandedly. Donna Van Toen, I think she's the last one. Finally, Donna Van Toen says, All right, your problem is that you haven't built up your own resources. That makes sense. Taurus is your stuff, Scorpio is other people's stuff. Possible reasons. You don't really know what you want, or you resent other people's personal and material success. You have sexual misconceptions or misconceptions about material wealth. You were brought up to equate affection with and caring with gathering material things. Maybe love is, money equals love to this guy. On rare occasions, people with the South Node in Scorpio have a "you've got to be more crooked to make any money in this world" philosophy. More often, there's a tendency to make changes just for the sake of changing. It's an interesting one. Taurus North Node generally has to be taught. And remember, this person we're talking about here, they have both of these in them at the same time. I said a million times. Taurus North Node generally has to be taught to value money and material goods. Right? See, it's interesting, right? Taurus North Node means too much South Node, right? Too much Scorpio, let go. Even though the North Node's in Taurus, they're letting go. So Taurus North Node says, hold on to the money. This person has to learn to hold on to his stuff. Don't give all that shit away all the time. There's often some sort of hang-up about the actual process of working, a dislike of any type of menial or manual labor, a refusal to prove your worth, an insistence on starting at the top, etc. Sometimes there's actually a contempt for money. Other times money is okay as long as you don't have the hassle of working for it. And occasionally there's a gimme fixation. It's a little greedy, gimme, gimme, gimme. Well, at other times there's a take it fixation. Remember, South Node bad, North Node, right? Can be good, can be. Sometimes there's an overemphasis on sexual resources. What in the hell is a sexual resource? There's an overemphasis. You might have two dicks. I don't know. So I don't know. This might be a Vedic interpretation. Maybe it is. I don't know. They've got that god with all those arms and the god with the big nose. Maybe. Oh, I shouldn't make fun of people's gods. Okay, calm down. Calm down. So. Sometimes there's an overemphasis on sexual resources, and I've seen a few cases where total resources were invested in otherworldly pursuits. Right. Contacting the dead. This is interesting. Contacting the dead, attaining trance states, researching various paths leading towards spiritual evolution. Taurus North Node has a hard time seeing the connection between development of his or her personal and material resources and being able to relate to others and to the material world in general. Depending on the overall chart, he or she takes a stance of total giving or total taking. You have to balance it out. Many Taurus North Noders concentrate on one resource exclusively to the detriment of others, so that time, money, or sex, or etc. become the only means of barter available to them. When this says they become closed off in one certain way. When this resource is depleted, they no longer have anything to fall back on and must either work to develop other resources or become totally dependent on others. Taurus, that's interesting. They can, because these guys can become overly dependent on other people. South Node in Scorpio, South Node in Libra, to an extent, South Node in Virgo, very dependent on other people. Okay, Taurus North Node also seems to be common in people who have suffered material, educational, or emotional deprivations in childhood. It's underdeveloped. The person with an overdeveloped Scorpio North Node consciously or unconsciously exudes a strong sexuality, dislikes the outdoors, is in some way an extremist, sympathizes with the underdog, and envies the successful without much thought of who deserves what, has little interest in other people's resources unless he or she can benefit from them, dissipates a great deal of energy trying to alter circumstances beyond his or her control. These guys are control freaks, right? Taurus is possessive, Scorpio is possessive. And resents needing others, has an unstable financial situation, feels entitled to criticize others. Oh yeah, seriously. Can you imagine this guy with an Aries rising? Oh, he'd be a fucking asshole. Right? He'll be like one broke ass asshole trying to convince you to get rid of your shit. What a dickhead. Alright. North Node in Taurus wants money. or at least a reputation as a connoisseur. So what's the deal here? On one hand, we got getting rid of money. Scorpio gets rid of it. Taurus wants to keep it. This is the push-pull that's happening in here, and it's an internal struggle, you know, between letting go and holding on to things. You know, might give away too much. And the lesson is in the North Node to hold on to some things. You know, the time, and so that's the deal in this one. South Node in Scorpio giving away too much. North Node in Taurus says, hey man, don't give it all away. The other way around is South Node in Taurus was one greedy ass motherfucker. They're like holding on, hoarding. They're hoarding. It's mine, bitch. It's mine, bitch. It's mine, bitch. It's mine, bitch. And everybody's all like, go fuck yourself. Go be. It's all yours, all by your own damn ass fuck self, you know. And so that's the way it is. So this is a balance between my stuff and your stuff that happens when the nodes are in Scorpio and Taurus. And depending on which node is where, it's where, you know, South Node bad, North Node, okay. North Node in Taurus wants, I'm just saying, this person has both of this energy, both of these energies in them, and it's a little weird as we're reading this. He or she wants to be thought of as firm, patient, and lacking in nothing. In contrast, the person is generally someone who's undergone drastic changes of values or circumstances, intense discomfort of some sort, or traumatic experiences. His or her routine is periodically stirred up and shifted as a result of emotional upheavals or disturbances that are seemingly beyond his or her control. He or she tends to be jealous of others who seem to have attained more in life, and may develop a rather pessimistic attitude in terms of realizing his or her dreams. He or she may compensate for a lack of material security by trying to possess people, or may compensate for emotional losses by developing a reclusive streak. These tendencies only serve to trigger more problems. And that's the action, guys. That's the gist of your South Node, right? That's like a bowl or a cup where there's too much energy. South Node in Scorpio, the sign of and the North Node in Taurus, the sign of gimme, 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 gimme. And so that's the deal. I hope everybody learned a little bit something today. If you want to know more about the nodes, just check out the videos on the channel. I put it all in a playlist. If you want to know more about your Venus sign or your Mars sign or your Moon sign, or you know, you're like whatever sign, just check it out in the just check it out on the channel. Please subscribe. You know, there'll be playlists for all of that. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share the video. Please donate to the channel. Once again, please go to the Astro-Side right here and pick up some really cool hoodies. The Scorpio one is a real badass one. I really like the design of these. This is the Scorpio hoodie. This one is really cool. How'd you imagine being a real badass Scorpio wearing one of those, or going to yoga wearing this red one? Yeah, that's a badass Scorpio. Very, very, very cool. All right, that's the action, guys. So once again, please support the channel. Please, you know, if you want your astrology reports, check it out in the description box. They go on sale occasionally, not often, but sometimes they go on sale. And that's the deal. Remember, it's always a beautiful day to be beautiful, and it's together that makes it a beautiful day. From TheSunnySide.net, I'm Sunny, wishing everyone the absolute best of a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys soon.